Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing well. And today, my friends, we're back with a showdown here between the Wood Elves and the Dark Elves. It's going to be Nerexa facing off against a Wild Bulbasaur, and we do have a bounty attempt. So on TotalTavern.com, which is our Total War Warhammer competitive website, there is a page called Tournament Bounties. So essentially, if you're playing in the top 4 of a tournament, there's like some essentially meme builds that you can bring. And if you win with them, you get a special avatar on Total Tavern. So the build that you see here from the Wild Riders is an attempt to get the unique Wild Rider avatar. And you have to start with 4 in your army because they're considered to be a pretty bad unit, actually. So, you know, winning a game with this composition in the semifinals or finals of a tournament, which this is certainly pretty impressive, but we'll see if they succeed. It is going to be Wild Riders into the sunset, 4 of those, and against Dark Elves, let's see. So they lose pretty horribly to Cold One Knights, but they are going to be efficient at killing Dark Elf infantry and also chasing down repeater crossbows and various other skirmish units, so they're not completely useless, but yeah, they do have some issues against Cold One Knights and Armored Cav in general. In the back, we do have some Enigmas of Giron, so these guys are going to be getting some fat regrowths off. And I used to love comboing these guys with the Wild Rider RORs, or excuse me, the Stagnite RORs, because the regrowth was really good when ethereal units were a little bit harder to kill. But Flesh to Stone gives physical resist, not useless, and we do have these Sisters up in the sky. No, going to be a Glade Lord, actually. Glady with the Prey of Anathrema, which again is very good for like high shock cav play and missile focus as well. If you want to really hammer something, you can snare it in place and write it down, etc., etc. So. Yeah, it's going to be it for the Hard Wood army, and now for the forces of the Dark Elves over here, it's going to be the dreaded Bulbasaur. It is going to be Dread Spears, Bleak Swords, and more Dread Spears in the back. It looks like there are going to be some Bolt Throwers in place, actually. Bolt Throwers, not bad at just having them sit on like Sisters or shoot at Cav. This map is a little bit tricky for artillery. I mean, you do have this natural defensive terrain over here on the far side. You can see this is kind of blocking. So you can like park it along the side. Granted, the Wood Elves could sneak something up here and like shoot down at you, but probably you wouldn't see that happening. But even still, the Bolt Thrower can put steady pressure on things like Sisters of Twilight, Cav units, and Spray Fire mode, it's not terrible. But Bleak Swords and Dread Spears are going to be the main core of this army, backed up by double Canade Assassin, which I really like. Canade Assassins are pretty good at just kind of poking things, decent fighters, and they do have some AoE with the Black Dragon Egg as well as the Web of Shadows, which they brought as well. So in Warhammer 2, like double Canade Assassin backed up by like Marathi was a super strong, super meta combo for sure. So we'll see if it still holds some teeth here. So the battle is on. Bolt Thrower is going to be going after the Glade Lord. And yeah, this is another reason why the Canade Assassins are quite good, right? Because the Glade Lord is could potentially just fly over your army and harass you if you don't have any missiles in your starting core like the Dark Elf army does. But the double Canade Assassins with their crossbows are able to force the Glade Lord back. But it did actually get a decent breath attack right out of the gates. The Black Art Corsairs lost 10 models and did lose a fair amount of HP, about 25% of their HP, which isn't bad at all. So Eternal Guard on their way up. So the Wood Elves starting to summon in the things that they probably would have started with if they weren't trying to go for a bounty. So it is going to be the Dryads and the Eternal Guard on their way up. And over on the far side, we got 2 Wild Riders hiding in the bushes. And the big Glade Lord is waiting with that sweet, sweet Prey of Anathrema. Now, how are they going to deal with Malekith? Or are they just going to ignore him and use the mobility to kind of hit and run and get these like alpha strikes wherever Malekith isn't? I kind of have a feeling that's going to be the case. Are the Wood Elves going to be summoning in any archers? I guess if Malekith does get caught on the ground with the Enigmas of Giron, they could potentially, take him to Pound Town. They are anti-large armor piercing and can definitely do some work. All right, the Hard Wood is going to be springing its trap. The Wild Rider sneaking around the back, maybe looking to jump on that Bolt Thrower. Malekith is immediately going to be responding. You see the Witch King coming over here. Going to be looking to intercept the Wild Riders in tandem with some reinforcements here, which are just Dark Riders, mind you. So the Dark Riders will get wrecked pretty bad by Wild Riders. And it looks like they're going to retreat right now, which is the right call. Malekith is going to take a few of them with him. He'll probably take down like 2 or 3 of these models here. Looks like 1 goes down, another 2 goes down, and a couple more on the retreat. But that was the smart play. If you kept pushing back here, you would get pinned in by the Dark Riders, and the Spears would have pincered and trapped them in place. So would have been tricky. On that same note, though, the little pushback there did distract the Dark Elves and is going to be allowing the Wood Elves to get a double cap initially. So they're going to start accruing a decent amount of points with the 2-to-1 cap here. Blade Lord up in the sky, still being pounded, but there is a regrowth on the table. So we do have the Enigmas hiding in the tree line, the ROR Zotes, which do have a bound magical spell, which does have the ability to heal up the Glade Lord. So yeah, I like that. I think it's kind of fun. And we'll have to see how it comes into play over the course of this game. So Wild Riders have pulled back. And what you want to do is just force the Dark Elves to come up towards Objective 2, and then you just kind of slam through the forest here when they're a little bit overextended, and maybe steal Objective 1, shock down a unit that's just kind of sitting there. Plenty of options for sure. And for the Dark Elves, this is a good call. I like how they're playing. Basically getting on Objective 1, consolidating their defensive position, then pushing out, trying not to, leave any vulnerabilities in their backfield. And we do see double Harpy as well. Crows of Cain and a standard Harpy, and also some Bleak Swords in the back as well. Okay. Very interesting stuff. Caster's finally out. It's going to be a Spell Singer of Shadows, so this could be pretty nasty. A big Pit of Shades on the Dread Spears could open up this objective for the Wild Riders. And it could be that kind of a game where the Wood Elves are like perpetually losing objectives, like, but every time they lose an objective, they get one on the other side with like a back cap and using their Wild Riders and their other forces to really push. And that's kind of one of the things about the bounties. Obviously, most of the bounties are like meme. It's like winning a game with Kazrak in the top 4, all that sort of stuff like that. But also, I wanted to do it to encourage players to like try units that almost never get any time in the sunlight. And maybe we'll discover they're not actually bad after all. So Dryads fighting here. Dryads will beat Bleak Swords. That's a very, very cost-effective fight for the Wood Elves, except the Black Ark Corsairs. And now we get Dryads getting run down by Dark Riders. Won't be taking too much damage. Big Pit of Shades going down somewhere. I saw it. Okay, Pit of Shades in the backfield against the Bolt Thrower. Interesting. Okay, this is a tech I haven't seen too much. Usually it's against infantry, but wow, look at that! The Pit of Shades just straight up karate chopped that Bolt Thrower. Oh my goodness. Okay, well that's I'm taking some notes, man. I haven't seen that used terribly often. Here we get the Harpies, the Crows of Cain, and Dark Riders moving in against the Dryads, but the Wild Riders, Orion's personal bodyguard, going to be emerging from the tree line, getting a big sandwiching charge. And if Wild Riders are good at one thing, it's their damage. Wild Riders do have amazing damage output against light armor, like way more than like Empire Knights and Reichsguard. They have a charge bonus of 68. They also have high weapon strength, really high melee attack, but they're just kind of a little bit squishy for what you're paying at 1,100 gold, right? And yeah, but in general, if they can hit the right target, they will wreck it. But now they're going to be sandwiched by spears a little bit, so those Wild Riders going to want to retreat. Back in the middle, we do see the Dark Elves getting a fat Soul Stealer, very well played there by Bulbasaur. Hits the Wild Riders, hits the Enigmas of Giron, hits a lot of the value targets, and it looks like the other Wild Riders jumping in here and helping. Beautiful breath attack from the Dragon. They're able to melt a couple of the Corsairs. And now some sort of Witchcraft appears to be going down. I'm not sure what it's going to be. It looks like there is the Web of Shadows, and I believe the Regrowth did go down in the Flesh to Stone. So the Enigmas are going to be pretty raid boss right now. And they're trying to fight Malekith, but Malekith does have spear support. So overall, it looks like the Dark Elves are going to be taking control of this middle objective using the double Canid Assassin, the buffering of the Dread Spears, and all of those units to really kind of turn the tide. So that's probably going to be a double cap for the Druchii. Granted, Wild Rider is actually not doing a bad job cleaning up some of the Dread Spears, or Dread Swords, Bleak Swords. Everything's so dreaded with the Dark Elves, but they are able to break down some of the Bleak Swords here. Big Pit of Shades going down, really nice cast. Going to be cleaning up the spear units, allowing the Enigmas to really shine. And we do have a dragon fight up in the sky. The Forest Dragon versus the Black Dragon here. Forest Dragons do have poison, but they have like less stats overall. And of course, Malekith is a legendary character, so he's going to be pretty mean. War Dancers on their way in. War Dancers are very good against Dark Elf infantry. Obviously, Harganeth and the very elite troops will just dominate them. But if we're talking like lower tier troops, the War Dancers can do quite good. Also, Canid Assassins only have 30 armor, right? So if War Dancers can surround them, they can definitely do some work. Malekith, though, getting some good fights here as we do see the Glade Lord getting pushed back. Repeater Crossbows, classic Dark Elf play. Repeater Crossbows being pulled in as like a follow-up piece, but there's a lot of fast cav here for the Wood Elves that can definitely pursue them and put some pressure on them. Granted, while Dark Riders are a little bit faster than the Wild Riders still, who are sitting at 85 speed, but they continue to pursue. And are they going to be charging into the infantry here? It looks like they might be charging in. They do actually catch some of the Wild Riders and also are able to run over the Black Ark Corsairs as well. This is actually a really big win for the Wood Elves back here because they're going to kill these Corsairs. The Dark Riders will be shut down, then the Bleak Swords and the Bolt Thrower probably are going to be following shortly after. However, Dark Elves have done a very good job getting the Glade Lord very low, and we saw a Pit Caster, so there isn't going to be any regrowths for this, and it's not like the Sisters of Twilight, who do have their own healing via the Conjoined Destiny. The Glade Lord is going to have to run back into the trees and kind of think about her life decisions. Spear is heading over to the middle, trying to reinforce here. The Enigma is doing some work. They're still holding on here. And the War Dancers, like I said, very good at cutting through lightly armored troops. You can see they've already gotten 21 plus kills. Granted, they are in a 2v1 plus a hero character also fighting against them, but I think they should be able to clean out these Dread Spears before all is said and done. But I guess if there's going to be some valid breath attacks here, very nice breath attack there by Bulbasaur. That was a beauty right there. And we do see the Dark Elves start to pull ahead a little bit in value. It's getting a little bit scary here. Granted, the Wood Elves are winning on the objective game. They currently have a triple cap, so just like we talked about earlier, using the Wild Riders to bounce around the battlefield, basically to steal objectives wherever they can, seems to be paying big old dividends here as the Wild Riders charge into the Bolt Thrower, shutting down the artillery once and for all. And even though the value does favor the Dark Elves very heavily, most of that value is tied up in the Glade Lord in the backfield. So the armies are probably similar in size, if not the Wood Elves maybe even having a little bit of a bigger army. But that was a beautiful Soul Stealer. Great cast so far from Bulbasaur this game. But he gets the cast on the Wild Riders, also hits the Dryads, going to be tickling the pickle of these War Dancers, it looks like. But Wild Riders are very okay in sustained combat. They're not like one of those cav units that's super dependent on getting a charge, and they are able to get these Harpies down. But yeah, Malekith coming in with the big routes, going to be quite nasty. Although Dryads and Wood Elf units in general do tend to have good leadership, and they don't have enough capture weight to get this right now. Those War Dancers just sitting on that objective, certainly very, very menacing. And the points are getting a little bit scary too. Here we see the Eternal Guard moving up. Dryads continuing to fight on the point. Should be able to beat these Dread Spears. Pit Caster lurking nearby. Double Canid Assassins with their crossbows. Not sure what they're doing. I think, okay, they're just kind of taking pot shots at the back of these Dryads, and also it looks like they tried to shoot the Spellsinger when it was on the drive-by there. Wild Riders showing how quick they are. We do have 66 speed on the Coldwood Knights against 85 on the Wild Riders, outrunning them pretty well and dragging these guys around the backfield, but the Wood Elves are managing to hold on to a cap. You know, Malekith is very strong, very impactful, causes terror, has great AoEs, but he can't be everywhere at once. And we're really seeing that illustrated in many of the games in which I see Dark Elves lose is because, you know, Malekith might have good fights and might be really dominating, but he can't be everywhere. And that's kind of the thing about these like big powerful characters compared to like more anchoring cheaper characters. But the same can be said for the Wood Elves. I mean, their Glade Lord in the back here is basically just hiding and trying not to die and chasing things off. Here on the side point, we got War Dancers versus Blackheart Corsairs. You know what? I actually don't know who wins this fight. Corsairs do have like slightly better armor, or much better armor, but the War Dancers have a little bit better stat line, and they did get the charge off. I still feel as if the Corsairs win this fight, even though they're a little bit cheaper, simply because they're armor, but we'll have to see how that all unfolds there. But there are going to be some Dryads coming up. We do have a Pitcaster sitting nearby, and it's going to be triple cap territory very, very soon. Like the Dark Elves might need a triple cap here, and this is a pretty big one for our Wood Elf player. He's one of our like main Wood Elf guys who plays in tournaments and just like always playing Wood Elves, even though they're considered to be a little bit on the weaker end of the meta. But he's always playing and doing very well, and clearly is in the semifinals. I believe this is actually the finals of a tournament. So again, if he manages to win it, he's going to be getting a custom-made avatar for Total Tavern. But if not, you know, hey, good attempt. So here, Malekith up in the sky, chilling about. Is he going to be swooping in? He should. He should go over here and round off these guys. This objective might be flipping to the Druchii here. We do see some more Glade Riders coming in, trying to mitigate the cap time, and the Dryads also moving in. So very good domination fundamentals, right? Just like buying as much time as you possibly can on these points. Looks like Coldwood Knights are coming in, so Dark Elves, if they play their cards right, should 100% get this objective back, although the cap weight from the Dryads and the Glade Riders here is going to be enough to delay them for a moment. The Wood Elves own it, but now that the Coldwood Knights have gotten in, Coldwood Knights will pretty much dominate most of those units there who don't have good armor piercing. Objective 2 being owned by the Hardwood, the Eternal Guard holding it down, double K8 Assassins. Pretty good grinding characters. They're not bad in melee. They do have 70 melee attack, which is pretty insane. So against light armor, they'll definitely connect. And Malekith with a really, really good breath attack right there. Oh, what's going on right there? That was like some weird spasming of some UI or something, but Malekith should land, get some terror outs, but the Wood Elves have so many infantry. Farside Point being owned by the Wood Elves as well. War Dancers with their recent cost reduction, and I hesitate to say recent. That was like in the last patch, which was like 10 years ago. But basically, War Dancers did get buffed recently with the cost reduction. Are any of the Wild Riders still left? It seems like they are still causing havoc. So yeah, we got Wild Riders back here with 214 kills. The other one's going to be sitting at 71. Certainly not bad, but 216 kills with 1,000 value. So hey, they've just about paid for themselves, which is, you know, more than you can ask for a unit that's considered to be a little bit subpar. So some Dryads over here are going to be sacrificed to the Wood Elf gods, as they are going to be rode down by Coldwood Knights and all these Dark Elf units. But yeah, this is definitely triple cap territory. And if the Wood Elves can hold on to a 2-cap for a little bit longer, they should be okay. Where's that Wood Elf Lord? It's finally coming back. I figured that thing should be a little bit closer. I mean, it should be able to outrun Malekith, although it is wounded, so that does lower its speed by 10%. Malekith is not wounded, so his speed is going to be top tier. That was actually one of the changes I really liked in Warhammer 3. Having single entities have like a wounded bracketing profile, just like in Tabletop, in 40k, for example. Like when a big knight or a big monster gets beat up, for example, like Mortarion, they get less attacks, they usually get their speed lowered. I think it's very good for balancing SEs. Because in Warhammer 2, single entities were just super obnoxious. And they're still very strong. Domination mode also made them a little bit more balanced. But overall, I think that was a good change. Long time ago. Talking about ancient history here. War Dancers battling against Blackguard. It looks like there were some Blackguards summoned in who are very, very damaged. And the objective's looking a little bit precarious here. Dark Elves going to be getting a double cap, and it does not look like the Wood Elves have any tools to get this one, so this is going to be a very, very close game, but I don't think they're going to have enough time. I think Wood Elves can just kind of swarm infantry over here and then use their cav to like roadblock the Dark Elf units who are going to be trying to come and get the capture weight. So 1406 right now, and the middle objective goes for the Dark Elves. And this is going to be the last stand. So currently 90 seconds, so about a minute and a half for the Dark Elves. And this is where, if you're the Dark Elf player, you select your entire army. You just select all and move on to Objective 3. That's basically all you can do. And just hope that Malekith can get some terror routes. It's going to be incredibly tight here. The Pravenoth Rama, the plays! Look at that, the Glade Lord locking down Malekith in the sky. So Malekith going to be trapped while the Wood Elf Lord just cackles triumphantly, sitting with its bow. I actually think the aesthetic of the Wood Elf Dragon is hands down one of the coolest ones in the entire game. They look so cool in Total War. Then you go look at the old tabletop Wood Elf Dragons, and they're just like the most haggard, decrepit models you could possibly find. Glade Lord getting a charge should be able to break those Harpies. They get terrified, and we got more Dryads coming in. This is like, for the Wood Elves, this is basically like Helm's Deep. Sound the horn of Helm Hammerhand once more in the deep on the back objective and just try and hold it down. And I honestly think they will. There's only 40 seconds left, so just under a minute here, and we get Blackheart Corsairs moving in. K8 Assassins fighting in the middle, able to fight off some of the War Dancers. And this one War Dancer unit, might have actually been one of the keys to winning the game because it distracted 2 K8 Assassins, each of which have 3 capture weight. That could make a huge difference over on this side objective. Malekith lands. Dark Elves do get a fair amount of the point, sending Dark Rider Repeater Crossbows into melee. Always a sign of desperate times, trying to get things on the capture weight. But the Wood Elves are going to be winning this game, it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, and they are going to be getting the bounties. So, like I said, head to TotalTavern.com if you guys want to check it out. There's a list of tournament bounties that can be claimed. Once they're claimed, they cannot be claimed by another person, so that person will have earned it, and there'll be unique bounties going up every season, and Total Tavern will be adding more and more. So this was actually the first bounty to be completed. I was really surprised. But, and again, a lot of people, when you get to the semifinals and finals of a tournament, are going to be more try-hard to try and get the tournament win. But even still, great achievement here by our Wood Elf player. Very, very fun stuff. Winning a game with 4 Wild Riders will unlock the Wild Rider bounty. 1,700 here. We do also have 1,400 here. And, yeah, the Witch King, man. 4,500. Malekith is such a carry character, but some of the ground-based forces probably didn't do too hot. Let's see how these guys did. Definitely more Colden Riders. I think, in this build, if the Dark Elf player comes in with 3 Colden Riders, it would be a much, much smoother game for them. They probably would have won, honestly, seeing the performance of this unit. But yeah, great game. GG, well played to both players. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one, and we'll see you on the other side.